Okay, we're going to continue on in the Apocrypha. This is the additions to the book of Esther, chapter 16, verse 19. Therefore put up the copy of this letter publicly, everywhere, and let the Jews live under their own laws and reinforce them, so that on the 13th day of the 12th month Adar, on that very day that they may defend themselves against those who assail them at the time of their affliction. For God, who governs all things, has made this day a joy to them instead of proving the destruction of the chosen race. So you must observe it as a notable day among your commemorative festivals, with all good cheer, so that both now and hereafter it may mean preservation to us and to the loyal Persians. But to those who plot against us, it may serve as a reminder of destruction. But any city or country without exception, which shall fail to act in accordance with this, shall be utterly destroyed in wrath with fire and sword. And it will be made not only impassable for men, but also hateful to wild animals and birds for all time. And this is Mordecai said, "This all came from God. For I remember the dream that I had about these things, for none of them has failed to be fulfilled. As for the tiny spring that became a river when light came, and the sun shone, and there was abundance of water. The river is Esther, whom the king married and made queen. And I and Haman are the two dragons, and those who gather to destroy the name of the Jews are the heathen. And my nation, which cried out to God and was saved, is Israel. For the Lord has saved his people. The Lord has delivered us from all these evil things. And God has wrought great signs and wonders, such as never happened among the heathen. That is why he made two lots, one for the people of God and one for all the heathen. And these two lots came to the hour and the time and the day when God should judge among all the nations. And God remembered his people, and he acquitted his inheritance. So these days in the month of Adar, on the 14th and 15th of that month, will be observed by them with assembling together and joy and gladness before God from generation to generation, forever among his people Israel. In the 4th year of the the reign of Ptolemy and Cleopatra, Josephus, who said he was a priest and a Levite, and Ptolemy his son, brought into Egypt this preceding letter of Purim, which they said was true and had been translated by Lysimachus, the son of Ptolemy, one of the residents of Jerusalem. Okay, that's the addition to the book of Esther. Now we're going to the Wisdom of Solomon. This book is the most important in the Apocrypha for the development of theology, and at the same time, significantly, it affords the best example of the fusion of Greek and Hebrew ideas. The book seems to be a composite, with a break at the end of chapter 10. The first part contains first a mass of eschatological teaching on the destiny of the righteous and the wicked, and then the extended praise of wisdom, which give the book its name. Wisdom is much more definitely hypnotized than it is in Proverbs or Ecclesiastes, and in some respects approaches the conception of the Logos. The second part is apparently intended to admonish the Jews of Egypt against the dangers of materialism, skepticism, and idolatry, Animal worship is particularly ridiculed, and to recall them to the ancestral faith. The first part appears to be a translation from Hebrew. Here the emergence of Greek physiological connections of the Greek substitutes of Hebrew words which carry no such connotations is especially interesting. The second part is apparently an original composition in Greek, since the Greek style of the whole work is consistent with peculiar areas common to both parts. It has been ingeniously and plausibly suggested that the translator made the first part an introduction to his own inferior composition. There are significant echoes of wisdom in various New Testament writers. Paul in particular seems to have known it well, and there are traces also of the authors of Ephesians, Hebrews, and 1 Peter. The probable date of wisdom is the 1st century BC. The wisdom of Solomon. Okay. The wisdom of Solomon. Love uprightness, you who judge the land. Think of the Lord with goodness, and seek him with sincerity of heart. For he is found by those who do not try him, and is manifested to those who do not disbelieve him. For crooked reasonings separate from God, and when his power is tested, it exposes fools. For wisdom cannot enter a deceitful soul, or live in a body in debt to sin. For the Holy Spirit of instruction will flee from deceit, and will rise and leave an unwise reasoning, and be put to confusion at the approach of the wrong. For wisdom is a kindly spirit, and will not acquit a blasphemer of what he says. For God is a witness of his heart, and a truthful observer of his mind, and a hearer of his tongue. For the Spirit of the Lord fills the world, and that which embraces all things knows all that is said. Therefore no one who utters what is wrong will go unobserved, nor will justice in its investigation pass him by. For there will be an inquiry into the designs of the ungodly, and the sound of his words will reach the Lord, to convict him of his transgressions. For a jealous ear hears everything, and the sound of grumbling is not hidden. So beware of useless grumbling, and spare your tongue from slander. For no secret word goes for naught, and lying mouth destroys the soul. Do not invite death by the error of your life, or incur destruction by the work of your hands. For God did not make death, and he does not enjoy the destruction of the living. For he created everything to exist, and the generative forces of the world are wholesome, and there is no poisonous drug in them. And the kingdom of Hades is not on earth, for uprightness is immortal. But ungodly men by their acts and words had summoned him. They thought him their friend and softened, and made an agreement with him. For they are fit to belong to his party. For they did not reason soundly, but said to themselves, our life is short and miserable, and there is no cure when man comes to his end, and no one has been known to return from Hades. For we were born at a venture, and therefore hereafter we shall be as though we had never existed, because the breath in our nostrils is smoke, and reason is a spark in the beating of our hearts. When it is quenched, the body will turn to ashes, and the spirit will dissolve like empty air. and in time our name